Hi guys, welcome back to Let It Out with Sadiq. Our guest today is Ray Pelushi. Ray Pelushi, welcome to the show.
Sadiq, thank you so much for the invitation. We
Yeah.
wanted to do this for a minute,
We've been
so
going back and forth, but I'm glad we're able to connect.
yes,
I'm
yes,
glad we're able to
yes. My
connect. I'm like,
pleasure.
I'm the funny part that when I met you before, I was like following you on IG. I was like,
And
oh man, so you have a podcast. Well,
we both
we're gonna
can.
connect. We're gonna connect.
No, it's my
But
pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
so I'm glad we're able to make this work. I know we've been, both trying to make it, happen over the last couple months, since
Yes.
December, I believe. But I'm glad we're
Yeah.
able to sit here and make this happen. For our viewers that do not know who you are, could you please, tell us a little bit
Correct.
about yourself?
So Ray Pelushi, originally from Albania, just started working with Sadiq now at TIA in
Tennis
an
Novedas,
amazing,
yeah.
amazing academy for 2 months. Prior to that, I was a head coach
Mhm,
at
mhm.
Missouri Valley College.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
college where I studied for. So I was there
Nice.
since 2015.
Oh,
Went
wow.
there um, as a freshman,
Yeah, yeah.
played 4 years, was a team captain,
Oh, nice,
was an
nice.
assistant coach, and then became the head coach.
Oh, nice,
So
nice, nice.
prior to this, I
Yeah.
had, we all have some kind of coaching experience
Yeah,
background. You would
yeah.
coach in the summer
Summer.
camps.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
have your private clients,
Mhm.
but my I would say my real big job was as a head coach, because even the
Wow.
assistant coach you would
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a lot, but when you're head coach, you're
Yeah,
more into
yeah,
that.
into like you. So with the head coach duty, was it like during the season? Do the female team and the male they travel together? How do you shuffle both? Like,
Correct. So it was great that I was a player
mhm,
first to the same team because I
mhm, mhm.
understood the culture.
Right, right,
And I
right.
had a great mentor, which
Mhm,
was my
mhm.
previous coach.
Yeah.
So when he left and they offered me the position, I gladly
Uh-huh.
took it. But he also was guiding me because
Mhm,
it
mhm,
is difficult to do everything by yourself. You need the
mhm, mhm.
mentors. You need coaches.
Right, right,
In
right,
many
right.
aspects of your life. So he helped me a lot. And yes,
Mhm,
it was challenging at first,
mhm, mhm.
very challenging at first. I mean,
Wow.
there's a million and one things that you should do as a head coach:
Yeah, yeah.
recruiting, budgeting,
Wow.
um, practices, matches,
Yeah, yeah.
fundraisers. On top
Wow.
of that, you have a large team. You got to make sure that everybody's getting everything out of it. But in
Wow.
a place where that my women's team wasn't as big, because I was a head coach for men and women.
Mhm,
My women's
mhm,
team was always around 8 or 10.
mhm.
So it was everybody got chances to play and
You're able
motivate.
to
But
manage it better.
yes, but
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
men's side, last year I had 24 boys.
You have
For
24
boy,
players in the roster?
yes. So with 24
Wow.
players now, you can imagine how challenging it is for everybody to stay motivated,
Mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm,
they're
mm-hmm.
like, well, I'm
Wow.
not going to get any minute on court.
Yeah, yeah,
Why
yeah,
should
yeah.
I do the fundraisers if I'm not going to play,
Wow.
if I'm not going to travel?
Yeah, yeah.
Even though it's their duty because they're receiving a scholarship, at the
Mm-hmm,
same
mm-hmm.
time,
Yeah, yeah.
you want to build a relationship. Now that I'm not a head coach,
Mm-hmm.
I'm more than happy to say that they're not anymore my players, but now they're my
Yeah,
friends,
yeah,
because they
yeah,
still
yeah.
reach out to me and I reach out to them. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's a challenging job, I would say, but you got to have a passion. So I loved it. I loved the institution.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm,
believed on the ideas. I
mm-hmm,
loved
mm-hmm.
my job as a coach, because you can definitely affect their life. So it was
Sure.
challenging, but
Yeah.
it was good. It was good.
Wow, wow. That's a big role you played for the school. And uh so what you prior to that, you did the 4 years there as a college player
Hmm.
experience. So you had like a junior career, like you played some ITF, like the
Yes.
junior pathway. How was the pathway prior to college?
So again, original from Albania, born
Yeah,
and
yeah.
raised in Albania.
Hmm.
Love my country. Unfortunately, their tennis is not well developed. So I
Hmm.
would say, like one of the first ones that I played professional tennis.
Oh, wow,
Not
wow,
just
wow.
me, my age group, my
Group, yeah,
my
yeah,
group,
yeah.
because there were other people that played before me, but the
Hmm.
structure of tennis wasn't where it should be.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was because we were a communist country. So when we
Hmm.
were part of the communist country, nobody was allowed to play tennis. So when
Oh,
communists fall and democracy came,
yeah.
it started evolving. Like everything else, it has its
Ah,
first steps.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
how I was selected and played tennis is that the coach of the time,
Yeah.
which was like the federation coach, etc. They work with the ITF.
ITF, correct.
They work with
yeah.
the ITF,
Yeah.
and they were helping countries that they are in need of developing tennis.
Right.
How can we promote? So they went to different schools, and I was 6 years old, and my class was selected. I played tennis. I performed for like an hour, and the coach at the time, he chose like out of 50 people, 5 kids that were more athletic, and I was one of them. So I won like a month free. So after I started playing for like 1 month, my grandma was the one that told the family, well, might as well keep playing tennis. So then I stick with tennis since the age of 6. Again, tennis in Albania is not that big. So I got the chance to become national champion for the age under 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Played a couple ITF tournaments. I was the only Albanian that I reached at the semifinal to an ITF tournament.
ITF tournament, wow. Did you get a chance to play Davis Cup?
Yes, I did.
Nice.
So when I became national champion, actually even prior to that, at 14 years old was my first year that I played Davis Cup.
You played Davis Cup
when I was 14.
At the age of 14? You made the team, or you actually
played
in the tournament?
I made the team as a number 4, but I actually also played. I played
age of 14. Wow.
I played one match singles and one match doubles. The coach was trying to give everybody chances to play.
Yeah.
And I remember is that
what country did you guys play against?
So the first match that we played was against Bulgaria.
Oh, Bulgaria.
And it was in Bulgaria, and Dimitrov was there.
Oh, no way.
And Dimitrov is there, and we are in the lounge, and he's shaking hands with us, and I'm 14-year-old, and I'm like, I cannot believe I'm sitting with him. I didn't play him because I was playing as number 2. I played Kuzmanov. Was number 2 of Bulgaria, was 200 in the world. And imagine you're 14 and you're playing in a stadium with people.
Was Dimitrov as of when you played him?
So yes, he was at the time that he was rising. So he was like top 30. He wasn't on the top 10, but it was on top 30. It was still like the big figure Dimitrov.
Right.
So the stadium was full, all with cameras.
Oh, nice.
And it was, my experience on Davis Cup Sadiq has been amazing. Obviously, I have only one win in doubles, and I think I have like 14 losses. I lost count. But every year I was passionate.
Like there's something behind that, like apart from like being representing your
country.
That feel. When I like similar, right? I played. I didn't get a chance to play Davis Cup, but the junior level, I played ITF African Junior Championship. Like represent. When you represent your country, there's a feeling.
It's a feeling inside
that comes
of you.
with it. Yeah. I can't really imagine.
It's beautiful.
I know. Like,
holding your flag.
Right.
Being with the other guys that are like top 200 in the world. Like it's
right.
Like I didn't had. And as a federation, and I've been blessed to have my family that I had. Like they provided everything for me. But tennis is a very expensive sport. So you gotta travel. So I was traveling maybe once a year, and only playing like the tournaments that ITF was coming to Albania. So I would barely play tournaments. So when I even have a chance to play on Davis Cup, and our courts are like hardcore. So we go there, we play clay. I'm even like, I'm barely running. I'm sliding. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Oh my God.
1 year when I played number 1, the next year, I think the next year after it, we played against Georgia. And I was sharing the story with our common friend and coach, Vlad.
Because he's from Georgia. He's from Georgia too.
So I played this number 1, which is Nicolas Basilashvili.
Did you play me?
So he was like top 20 in the world, and I'm playing him. And the guy is like, he's so serious. He's like, he wants to like rip my head off there.
Right.
Like he has no mercy. Wow. I remember having like 4 or 5 games, 40 all, and I think out of 4 or 5 games, 2 it was advantage me, and I'm serving the serve of my life. Like I'm destroying my shoulder, and this guy is just like stepping in, and while I'm landing, I just see the ball fly, and I'm like,
wow, that's not that fast.
But the experience was amazing.
It's a good experience that you would cherish.
And I always ask questions to those guys. Like even 1 year we were in Hungary. We didn't play against Hungary, but Huskovic was there. and I got a chance to talk to him. I got a chance to talk to those coaches
Yeah.
for the other team. So I learned so
So,
much. And just observing the quality. One year, Bagdatis was there,
Bagdatis.
and we didn't play against Cyprus,
Yeah.
but
Wait, where's Bagdatis from?
Cyprus.
You see?
Yes. So he was there, and obviously he was on the last years of his retirement.
Yeah.
He wanted to have
Yeah.
and we would go to the courts at 7 a.m. to have the 30 minutes warm up prior to our 8 a.m. game.
Yeah.
And we go there like 6:45, so we can get to court at 7. Baghdadis is already on court with 5 coaches, sweating, giving the hardcore of his life.
Wow.
And it just opens my mind, like, that's why they're the next level. That's what they do. They do the difference. They do the things.
Getting there 7 before your next match just to find him there.
And he's like sweating, like he's having a hardcore workout. And I'm like, is he going to be okay to play the match? And
is he going to be okay?
It's a different level, Sadiq.
Wow.
But I love those years.
Listen, you had an amazing time, amazing junior tennis career. I mean, let's not talk about the results.
No, not results. Leave it away.
Let's not talk about the result. Amazing. But so you are a mental strength coach.
Correct.
Going from, amazing tennis career, you played, and all. What makes you want to become, or what made you become a mental strength coach?
That's a beautiful, beautiful question, Sadiq. I appreciate you asking. For all the viewers out there, I truly believe that our brain is the most powerful thing that we have. And we, and only we, have total control over it and nobody else. I do this exercise with the young guys that we have now in the tennis court. I tell them, raise your right hand. And they would raise their right hand. And I'm like, why did you raise your right hand? He's like, because you tell me. I'm like, but you could simply raise your left hand. Why did you raise your right hand?
But you said right. Though.
Yes. And they're like, look at him, like, because you chose to. You gave a command to yourself to raise the right hand. Not me. You did it. I can tell you many things, but you're the one that are going to be responsible for your actions.
You just kind of got me with that. So, raise your right hand.
But you can simply raise your left one if you choose to. But if you choose to, you can raise.
You said right.
But I said right. I can say whatever I want, but you're the one that is in control of taking the actions. You see what I mean? So it gives the young athletes to be more aware that they are in control. Because what do we do when we're young? Going back to why I chose to be a mental strength coach. I lost a lot of matches because I was getting angry, getting frustrated, always blaming either the grip, the strings, the wind. It's the same condition in tennis. Like, tennis is one of the perfect sports that can reflect in life. It's you against you, even though you're playing against the other guy.
Right.
If you cannot be able to control yourself, you cannot be able to perform at your highest level. So I lost a lot of matches when I was young because I couldn't have a good mental strength coach, and my mental strength wasn't as where I should be. Went to college, I knew that I need to play at my best. So I ran to this guy he was also a basketball player. And then he's like, hey, but he's like, you're working so hard. I also work so hard. He's like, may I share something with you? I was like, go ahead. Have you ever tried to meditate? And I was like, what is that? And then he explained. And then I remember meditating for my first time. Felt like I was out of space. I'm like, what is this thing? So then I became more obsessed with it. Read books, watch videos, seminars, do everything I could to understand why it's so powerful to become aware, and all the things that we do about mental strength and mental health, and meditation, visualization, journaling. So one thing led to another. After I graduated from my undergrad, I had a job in my previous school as a student, as a GA for student affairs and an assistant coach. But I needed to stay in school. So my school at the time was offering only 2 masters: education, administration education, and community counseling. I could have chosen MBA to go to another school, but I was like, community counseling, I think, is the only field that I could choose to become a better mental health and a mental strength coach, because in the end, I would need to have an education. And other than having an education for myself, is to also make people feel a bit aware. Because if you just go and tell people that you are a mental strength coach, but you haven't done an education, they'll start doubt you. So it's kind of like hit and miss. It's both. You do it for yourself. I learned so much on the 2 years. I did 700 hours of internship in only 1 year in a mental health facility. I actually dealt with people that have depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation. I mean, all the stuff that you, for example, see on the movies. I work with patients, and also I worked at the college with like all the athletes. So I'm fascinated about it. I love it. It's something that we should all be aware of, and everybody says that we still don't know so much about our brain. So as much as I'm a coach, I'm daily learning how can I become better at this. So
wow,
good.
wow. That's but it's like, I mean, growing up, especially from the part of the world I come from, mental strength. Like, I think, being honest, I find out about mental strength later.
Correct.
During my entire junior tennis career, I have no idea what a mental strength is.
What
Like,
does it mean?
what does it mean? I see my friends like going hitting their racket and stuff. Like, I have no idea until later. Obviously, later in college, as you grow older, you're in this part of the world. You're exposed to a lot of things. So, junior level, I have no idea of what mental strength are and the importance of mental strength.
Sure.
But I know a lot of people are out there just that are probably the same. Don't know about mental strength. They're out in like wherever they are. They don't have access to all this. But how important is mental strength? And would you advise every athlete to see a mental coach? So that's how important it is for those players that don't know what a mental strength is, and would you advise them to see a mental coach?
Good question. I advise everybody to seek mental strength, not just
athlete.
No, everybody. Okay. Everybody. I have my own mentors, and I also seek therapy and have my counselors because I understand how important it is. This is crucial, Sadiq, and I think that I've always been a positive person. I've always seen the good side. So COVID did all the terrible things. One thing good that we took out of COVID is to become more aware of our mental health. Since after COVID, people start seeking more counselors, more therapy, more coaches, because they understood that this controls everything.
Control.
I don't know if you know anybody. For example, I know quite some people that are depressed with antidepressants, and they're still depressed. How many people I know that they're rich and they're still depressed? Wow. How many people I know that they have a beautiful family, but they're still depressed? So everything comes from our internal world. If we are not feeling good internally, there's nothing externally going to feel better.
The accomplishments, everything.
There's somebody else that has more than you, no matter what. Even if somebody
always has more than you.
They have asked Elon Musk and said, how do you feel like being the most powerful country in the world? And he's like, I don't think I'm the most powerful person in the world. I said, person. He's like, I don't think I'm the most powerful person in the world. He's like, why? You're the richest. I am the richest, but I don't have the power that Putin has towards his country. So when you think about it, there's always somebody that is better than you in somewhere. So there's nothing outside that's going to make you feel good inside unless you take control of your inner self. And this is not just like a one-time thing. This is not just like you meditate once, you read a book, you seek a coach, and you're good. This is something you got to do daily.
For medication, right? Meditating, right?
Sure.
What is a, like, I would be honest with you, like, again, the word meditate and all this, I found out later and all, but what is 2 simple steps on how to meditate for someone that doesn't? It's like, you said I should meditate, but how do I meditate? I try to be quiet, but a lot of things are running through my brain. When you try to be quiet, I'm like, damn, I'm working tomorrow, I'm doing this. Like, how do you, get in that zone where you just block out everything?
Okay. That's a beautiful question. So meditation, I've in an ugly way, I would say that I'm addicted to it. Like if I don't meditate daily, I feel like something is out of me. Like
Wow.
it's not there. But the first times was tremendously difficult. Like tremendously difficult because your mind is running into places.
It is.
It's shifting from one place to another. Believe it or not, we have approximately around 60,000 thoughts a day. So your mind is always moving from one place to another. Even right now, you're looking at this bottle, you're looking at the flower,
Yeah.
you're here, you're there. Your mind is going from one place to another.
It
So to
is,
try to shut it down is very difficult. But there's a lot of kinds of meditations. For example, one meditation that I love, which also helped me have more control of my brain, is called NSDR, which is translated as non-sleep deep rest. Other than just meditating, it also is kind of like a short nap. So it gives your brain like a recharge. So you shift your focus on different parts of your body. For example, you start thinking about your foot and then you move it here and you move it up and then you think about your ankle and you think about your knee, your hamstrings, and you can actually feel the vibration on your muscles going up. So you're shifting your thoughts somewhere else other than just trying to stop. But there are also kind of meditations where you just want to close your eyes and just let your mind go into places. It's another beautiful one, and I try to do it every time in the morning because you are just aware of your thoughts. And it's so funny because you have no idea why, but something comes up in your mind when you were 10 years old. And you're like, why did that thing pop up in your mind? So there's a lot of different meditation, but the simplest one that I can tell people to try and then see how that feels is to simply close their eyes and just have large inhales through their nose and large exhales through their mouth. When you do that, especially with your large exhales, you are slowing down your heart rates. So you're becoming more calm, for example. And in the beginning, it's difficult to just like do it. So I'll tell people to count to 4, like with your mind, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then exhale in 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now you're thinking about the number, so your mind is not going in other places. But with that in mind, you're also breathing. Meditation is something simple. It's literally focus on your breath. It's that simple. People think like it's a magic wand, like, oh my God, you gotta go into this state. It's not. You just have to take time, go into a quiet place, and just breathe. Our breath has tremendously powerful effect on our life because how we feel is how we react, and how we act will determine how our life is. If you're constantly being in a panic mode, you're agitated. That's why you gotta be relaxed. So that's why you do a lot of breathings, and you learn how to do it. I mean, it's like a exercise and muscle. You gotta do it daily and train it. But I encourage everybody to just focus on their breath.
I would give it a try. Like, when I have a lot of drink running, it's like this is supposed to shut you off completely.
But there's different kinds of meditations, and there's a lot that you can find on YouTube.
Yeah, I definitely would give it a try. Frustration, anxiety. This is something I see with athlete. I'm gonna, more like athlete. You see a tennis player, just not even the professional athlete, but the younger ones I work with, I've interact with, like, I'm losing matches. I'm getting frustrated. I feel like I'm getting worse. I need to fire my coach. This coach is not doing this. This player, anxiety, all of a sudden in a match, like that feeling. How do two things as a coach? How do you deal with the player that's frustrated, have a lot of anxiety, has a lot of anxiety? How do you help them? As a player, how does a player help themselves from frustration, anxiety, and all?
Beautiful question. Great question. A lot of times, especially working with many different athletes, everybody has its own, I would say, solution.
Okay.
So a lot of times people ask me, so like, what do you do? like, what you do with those clients or with those players? I'm like, I cannot tell you what I
Yeah.
exactly do because I need to enter their world. They will tell me. And then together we'll find the ways. A lot of times people think like they have 10% figure out and they need now 90%. That's not true. They have 90% figure out and they only need those 10%. Even the young kids, when you ask them question, you're
Yeah.
like, so tell me, do you think that you play better when you're angry or when you're calm? They'll tell you that they play better when they're calm. So what do you have to do? Well, I have to be more calmer. That's a solution. Now, how can we do that? So different individual has different ways, has different paths,
Mhm.
and has different routes. I think that you can take them because a lot of times what I'm dealing with, especially working right now to our beautiful academy, is that the young kids are not worried about losing. They're worried because their parents are watching. So now you got to change their mindset that you're not doing this because of your parents. You're doing this because of you. For example, I work with another client today,
Mhm.
and he's like, "Well, I would love to win," but he's like, "But I hate losing." So then I'm like, "So do you love to win or you hate losing?" And they're like,
So,
"I
yeah.
hate losing." So he's putting himself already in a negative state. So how are you supposed to play your best when you're feeling negative? Because
Yeah.
you're constantly thinking about I'm hating to lose and not I want to win. So little things like that that will
Yeah.
switch your mindset like day and night. So first of all, you need to make sure that you enter the client's world. First of
Mm-hmm.
all, you have to make sure that you are in the same boat and they trust you. Once this connection is built, now you're
Mm-hmm.
making them aware on how much they have power towards themselves and their brain.
Mm-hmm.
And once they understand it, now we're going into different areas. Why you're doing this?
That's
Are you
right.
hating it or you loving it? You're doing
Mm-hmm.
it for yourself or for your parents. Now they're more clear because until now they have this buzz.
Yeah.
I don't know, coach. I don't know why I'm playing bad. Well, you
Right.
know, but we have to make sure that you understand that. So let's ask you some questions. So once you guide them into different routes,
Yeah.
they'll be able to give you the proper answers. Now you can have a circle here. So this is what's happening. And this is where we are. Now, where do we want to go? We want to go here.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Now, these are the things that we need to do. We
Mm-hmm.
gotta, for example, we meditate, we
Medicine. Yep.
visualize, we journal, we understand why we're doing this. So there are all those little things that other than making them aware, they're skills that they can use in order for them to become their
Mm-hmm.
best version of themselves or their best tennis player on the court.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in college, I had uh, one of the girls on the team, amazing player. She felt frustrated like this. She would lose a game and she would lose her mind. And I'm like, girl, you're beating yourself. You're not, she's not beating you. Yes, coach, but how can I do that? So with her, for example, I found to be very important to leave a mark on the court. So every time she's feeling angry or frustrated, or she's losing 2 to 3 points in a row, or like 2 games, she
Mm-hmm.
would go and touch that mark. Because once she touched that mark, now her brain is giving her signals to become aware that, listen, you are losing
Yeah.
and you're in a bad state. Now we got to come focused. So there's marks on the court. There's
Wow.
things that you wear that remind you. There's a lot. It's just that you want to find what works best for who.
Yeah.
But long story short, you got to make them aware, first of
Makes
all,
them aware.
and then we're going to work on how to train our brain.
Wow.
And there's little things that we can do like that that definitely
The
helps.
wow. Wow. This is really
Beautiful.
helpful for, I mean, for those viewers, younger generations out there. I hope they grab from all this information. With with the younger generation of player, what are some of the things they're lacking as an athlete? When I mean lacking, is it discipline? Is it work ethic? Just I wouldn't not all players, but the ones you've seen around, the ones
Mm-hmm.
you've been around, compared to when you started, when you see Dimitrov, you probably didn't see him when he was young, but you just say
Sure.
something about back then, you might have seen someone, but in your generation,
Mm-hmm.
20 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, what are some of the things the younger generation of players are lacking now?
Another great question. You've asked beautiful questions today. I love it. So I don't think I'm able to give you a proper answer of like what is or what the generation
Everyone.
is missing,
Okay.
just because different cultures raise
Right.
differently. So like how I've been raised in Albania with like six
So, yeah,
tennis courts
right.
that were
So,
cracked.
right. So, I would narrow this down. I would narrow this down. Okay. Growing up, right? I grew
Mm-hmm.
up in Nigeria. Tennis, like the way I was raised, like the way that we practice, the
Mm-hmm.
discipline the coach inside on us, going from home, like just off and on the court,
Beautiful.
it's different from
Correct.
being in the United States
Mm-hmm.
in this environment. What are players lacking in the United States, younger generation
Mm-hmm.
player versus the players that are outside of the United States?
Beautiful question. What I think, and maybe this cannot
Apply to everyone.
apply to everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but what I think that players are missing today is accountability.
Accountability.
So they blame somebody else, and we do this as humans in general. Human nature always. Have you ever heard somebody share a story where he's wrong? No, they always share some story that somebody else is
Yeah,
wrong.
my
They're right.
partner, the judge, this.
Something.
Okay, yeah,
So
yeah.
he did and she did and that. So we
Mhm,
like to keep the blames to the others, not to ourselves. So I feel like players that succeed, those few percent
mhm,
that
mhm.
make it to the next level, is that they are accountable. They demand from themselves more than anybody will ever demand them to. You don't need anyone. You need few guidance. Obviously, tennis is an
Yeah,
expensive sport, so yes, you need this, you need that. But
yeah.
let's go beyond that. Let's go to other sports. You know, there's people that have raised up poor and come from. I mean, Djokovic came from
Yeah,
Serbia,
yeah.
from and the way that he shared his story is that they didn't have money. They were in war,
Right.
and then he still made it because he demanded from himself more than anybody will demand on
Yeah.
him. So
Mhm.
that's what I think people are lacking is the discipline.
Accountability.
Discipline in everything, but more the discipline of becoming accountable. Always asking yourself, not what my parent can do, not what my coach can do, not what my partner can do,
What can I
what
do?
I can do more.
Can I do more?
Is there anything I can do more? And if, which I believe that doesn't matter who you are, you
Mhm.
can always do more.
This,
But
yeah.
if you have answered that question, then you can
What
ask
can
your
I do?
coach or somebody,
What can I do?
you do your job. For example, I watched an interview when Djokovic won his last Grand Slam, and his
Yeah.
coach, the new one that was, I think, was Marin
Goran,
Cilic coach or Ivo.
closing Goran. Is it the
Yes.
Goran? I'm not. Yeah,
I
but
don't know exactly his
okay.
name, but the
Yeah,
new one that I think was either Marin Cilic or Ivo Karlovic. I think it was Marin
yeah.
Cilic, coach, head coach. He's laughing, and
Uh-huh.
he's like, Djokovic is gonna kill me one day. He's like, I'm gonna have a heart attack with this guy. And the interviews are like, why? He's like, the guy just won a Grand Slam, and he
Uh-huh.
wakes up the next day and he's questioning all our coaches, what more can we do? He's demanding so much that the guys are like, this guy's in another level. Like, we just won a Grand Slam, and he's like, my
Yeah,
forehand is
that's
not good. The guy's like, you just won a Grand Slam. He's like, no, I'm feeling. Let's go in the court. I need to work 2 hours now on my forehand. So he demands for himself and for the team more than anybody will ever win. And that's why they make it to the next level, I believe.
the word like that accountability stood out from
Mm-hmm.
what they go thinking about it, like about the generation. No one, it almost everyone, no one would like, oh, maybe it's me, maybe I needed this. Always the court, it's
Always
always the
something.
ball, it's always the line, it's always the this, the racket, the this. But the word accountability,
I bet you
that's
probably have heard this more than me or same as me. But how many young players is like, because they made a bad judgment call and then I lost the match.
Oh yeah,
You only lost a
yeah.
point. You didn't lose the match.
You only lost a point, indeed. Yeah.
Right. But they're not, they
But
blame the point
they blame
because they
that.
lied to that point.
But
That's why I
you had
lost.
other points after
After
that.
that, what
Happened
happened?
in the first set. What happened to the rest of the second
What
set?
happened?
But that's being patient.
Yes,
Being
yes.
patient.
It's
How
difficult.
important is it to be patient?
Patience, patience, patience is something that,
On the court, you
yeah,
see players rushing through, want to win. I want to get to 6 UTR tomorrow. I
tomorrow.
want to play in Orange Bowl. I want to, but how important is it? Like, it's how important is it to be patient and walk through the process
Beautiful
without rushing
question.
into it?
Beautiful question. If I can give like a little example
Mm-hmm.
that can resonate with everything, not just in tennis, but definitely the tennis players can look
Mm-hmm,
at it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's safer to go one step at a time than to go to the ladders jumping four steps. Most likely you're gonna fall and you're gonna break your face.
Most likely,
You
yeah.
know? So with that in mind is that it's a process. It's a long process. And the winners are the ones that stick to it and stay longer. And they trust the process and their patience.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not easy because we want results. And then when we practice for hours,
Yeah.
and let's say that's been 1 year, and then we've been practicing so much, but we still don't see results.
Yeah.
Now we lack that motivation.
Yeah.
So on those moments, it's very important to understand that something is coming. Sometime, I don't know if people have probably watched, but it's like a picture where there's two guys that are digging for like the diamond, and one guy turns back
Oh,
one more
right, right.
step,
One step. I saw the
and the other
picture.
guy
Right, right.
keep running.
And I saw this, like, yeah. I
So
saw, yeah.
you don't know when you're going to hit. Maybe
So
that
you're
day that you're
just
missing.
this when you're about to hit,
So you
when
have
you're
to.
about to break through.
So you always have to be positive and patient that today might be the day, tomorrow might be the day, but one day at a time, one step at a time. I know it's difficult for every young athlete, especially to,
Yeah.
they want to see results. But I
Yeah,
promise
yeah.
you that longer you stay, more profits you're going to have. So it's not now,
No.
it's
Yeah.
the future. You're doing it to get somewhere.
And I also, I like to say everyone has their own time regarding performance. Some players right away they break
Sure.
through. Some player takes longer.
Sure.
But that does not mean you're doing anything wrong. You have the same players practicing, have the same schedule. This happens to, pick it
Sure.
up fast, win matches. You might be losing now, but then think about it. I used to, and then this is example like junior level. I have a friend at the junior level. He was winning everything. But when we got older, now it turns around. These guys that were losing during the junior level, now they're the one winning
Sure.
winning more tournaments, competing in a higher tournament. Or if they had, quit that, back then, like, you know what, I'm not winning, I'm gonna stop. This wouldn't have happened when we grow older, we grow older. But
there's one more thing that I can share about that is, and this is like one of the latest studies, a research study. Many guys say that this is probably one of the best studies ever that has happened to our human brain, that we know about our brain.
wow.
So there is a part or on the front of our brain called anterior mid-singular cortex. So our brain is like a muscle, like every other muscle.
Yeah.
So it's this part of our brain, part of our muscle that is bigger on the athletes. It's smaller with the obese people. That's what they found out. But it's a muscle that can be worked. So the reason and how this muscle gets bigger is while constantly doing difficult things that you don't want to do. For example, you play tennis.
Yeah.
And you're striving and you're giving your full energy there.
Yeah.
But you enjoy it. This part of the muscle is not getting bigger. So you have to do things that you don't enjoy. I don't know, for example, if you're in school and you really don't want to read that chapter or you don't want to study,
Yeah.
Like you have this feeling inside of you that is destroying you, but you're like, oh, but I gotta do it, and you do it. The moments where you do this is where this brain, this part of your muscle gets bigger.
Yeah.
So you constantly have to do things that are difficult for you to have this part of the brain bigger, but not just for that, but for you to have a bigger space on pushing through difficulties when things come your way. You're more patient now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You constantly have to do things and train, so when things become difficult, you're ready to strong to deal with it. You don't just give it away, or you're not patient and you just give up. So there's things that you do daily. So one of the things that I do daily to train myself on that is that I do a cold shower in the first 1 hour when I wake up. I've done this for 3 years.
Depend on what part of the time of the season, or
every single day I wake up and I do a cold shower.
What?
So big, I'm telling you, there's not a single.
Just for you, for the viewers, it's like minus 10 degrees this week, right? Like, and you're gonna take a cold shower?
Still did it this morning. Still, I'm gonna do it the next morning, and
you do this every day.
Every day
for 3 years now.
Yes, every single day.
What's happening?
Because let me explain. Let me explain you because why.
Cold shower?
Like freezing cold. Like sometimes I can.
Right. Let's do something else, man. Let's other options.
It's not other options. This is what we gotta do. Why I say that? Because when, let's say, you start lifting, okay, you start lifting, and in the beginning you find lifting to be very challenging. Now you're also improving this part of our brain because you're doing something you don't enjoy. But a lot of times, what you're gonna do, you're gonna start enjoying lifting because you see results. 3 years, buddy, I still don't love the cold shower. I still hate it. So it's one of the things that no matter what, is still training this part of my brain to go through challenges. It's not a single day that I'm like.
How do you get result from that, though? What tells you, like, okay, this is the result of what I've been doing for 3 years, like this cold shower. Where do you? Is there? You know what I mean? Like, how do you see the? Do you get a result? You see a result, and
the quick results that you have is that you feel great afterwards. Because first of all, you're not in the cold, and your body reacts very well to like very cold temperatures. So, you feel more relaxed. You're more aware. It's an amazing strike of your dopamine. They say that the best dopamine you can have, obviously outside of the drugs, the best dopamine that you can have is cold shower because it stays longer. A lot of times our dopamine strive high and then crashes below our normal base. But the dopamine that you get from the cold shower is strike high and it stays high for the next 4 to 6 hours. So there's a lot of science behind that. There's the benefits of the cold shower, but what I love it is that I am on control of my brain. My brain is not a single day that doesn't manipulate me and tells me, maybe not today.
No, not today. Come on, like my brain would definitely do that for me.
But I tell myself, I'm in control and you're going there. So I just go. And I still shake and I still make weird noises, but I go and do it. So
that first, no. I mean,
and you know what's the worst is that when shower is running and you're on the side and you can feel it on your toes and then you're like, oh man, it's cold today.
And then the whole body goes in that cold? Hell no.
But I recommend everybody. So we'll see.
I wouldn't say I would try. I would be happy to try it in the summer, but not right now. I would be happy to try it in the summer. Performance under pressure. The word performing under pressure. How does an athlete? How do you deal with performing under pressure? How do you up yourself? When you perform under pressure to stay locked in and when achieve the results you want versus being like you're under pressure, you're not performing. How do you perform under pressure?
Great question. So there's a lot of skills and tools that we can use to perform under pressure. Again, it's what works best for everybody.
Everyone's different.
Everybody's different. For example, me, when I was playing college, which I loved playing college, I had a great career in college and I enjoyed it, playing players from all over the world.
Yeah.
I felt like every time I was under pressure is that I don't want to disappoint myself. So every time I was under pressure, I would have a pep talk with myself, and I'm like, Ray, come on, man. You got this. There's no way why you should not win. Why you're feeling scared. Face the reality. You're in this moment. Now you have to do this. So for me, was this little pep talk that I had inside, which made me eventually become present to the moment. Because what happened when we're under pressure? We start thinking about other things. What am I going to tell my parents? What excuses I'm going to give myself?
Team. Am I gonna lose my scholarship if I'm not winning matches? If I'm not the one anymore, you start going outside the box.
You go outside and you're not present. Right. So the best way to perform under pressure is to be locked in this moment. What do I have to do? For example, people are like, they make double faults. We all have they make double faults. A lot of times, there's moments that you just don't toss the ball right or whatever it is, it happens, or you're feeling tired, whatever it is. But a lot of times we lose on crucial moments, and let's say like, oh my God, I was down. For example, I had a client before I came here, and he told me, he's like, oh, I lost the match because I made a double fault on a set point. So he won 8-6. And I'm like, but why did you make a double fault? He's like, well, I made the double fault because I wanted to rush the moment because I was feeling like, anxious. So I wanted to rush away and get done with that point. And I'm like, so what was the result? He's like, because I made a double fault. And I was like, but I didn't ask you why you made that double fault. He's like, how did you make the double fault?
I hit it. I missed the serve.
I missed the serve because I didn't toss the ball where I should, because I didn't bend. There's one match where Kobe Bryant, Mamba mentality, I love it.
Rest in peace, remember.
Love his mentality. Is that there was one match, one game that in the last 1 minute he had 3 chances to shoot and to win the game, and he lost all 3. So then he was with a towel on his head down. People was the interviews, whatever they were, like behind the camera, was thinking about how bad he must feel, how sad he must feel, how devastated. So they asked him, and he's like, Kobe, we saw you head down, towel in your head. I bet that felt so devastating. Can you tell me more about it? He's like, felt? What does feeling has to do here? He's like, I was thinking why I missed those shots, and I figure out the reason why I missed. So every time we are missing because we're thinking about something else. On Kobe's moment, he was thinking about why he missed. He missed because he didn't jump, because the wrist or whatever it is. So a lot of times under pressure, we're thinking about something else. We're thinking about excuses. We're thinking about what I'm going to tell to the players. Well, I injury, my elbow, this and that. We're not thinking like, okay, I have a set point down. My strategy is to play high top spin to his backhand and take the ball early and move to the. We don't think about the strategy. We think about something else other than what we need to do now. So everybody, if you're feeling under pressure, my recommendation is to stay locked in the moment and don't think about nothing else.
Nothing outside of like what's going on around. Just that moment. What am I doing
right now? That's all we have. That's
what
all
can
we
I
have.
do better
Now,
be in the present. The importance of believing. How important is it to believe in whatever you're doing? I don't want to be like a little outside athletic. This thing. You want to create a business. You want to build a mansion. You want to be successful. You want to be the best athlete in the world. You want to be the best coach in the world. I want to eventually want to work with players that are playing the US Open.
Correct.
How important is it to believe in that, to achieve it?
Beautiful question. And beautiful example that I'll give that I've learned it from Jim Rohn. He doesn't live anymore, but I watched all his seminars and everything, is that he asked a question to the public, and he's like, can you build a house before building your house? And everybody's like,
Can you build a house?
house before you actually work and building your house. And everybody's like, no. And he's like, yes, because you are designing the house and you have a clear picture how the house is going to look like, and then you're going to work on it. So you start building it before you actually start. So you're creating a clear picture before you actually work. And it goes back to the believing. You need to create a picture in yourself before you actually achieve that. Do you see what I mean? For example, one of a beautiful example is Novak Djokovic. When he said when he was young, he would visualize raising the trophy of Wimbledon and see himself there. And then throughout the process, he believed that he's going to achieve that. But without you creating a clear picture in your mind, how can you believe on something that is not real? Obviously, you haven't achieved it yet, so you haven't touched it. But we need to create something beforehand in order for us to achieve. So when we go to the tennis match, for example, I'm working with one of the young kids, and I just don't want to mention the name because I want to keep everything confidential, but I can tell you after who it is. I tell him every day, and he had a tournament today. I told him, I said, so who are you? He's like, I'm a champion. What you doing today? I'm winning my match. I'm like, good luck. So he creating is that belief system and creating the picture of himself already being a champion and winning the match. How can you go in a tennis match if you don't know? In the end, whatever happens are just facts, and we have to deal with it. But prior to it, we have to believe. And if we don't believe in ourselves, how we expect other people to believe in us? And doesn't matter what other people believe. If you're not the person that believes that that is going to happen, it's never going to happen. How can it happen? You don't believe on it. So if you're a tennis player or you want to create your business or whatever you want to do, you need to have a clear picture on your mind before you actually start. And then trusting the process, believing in it, and obviously there's a lot of work, etc., etc. But I always say that visualization, it's amazing. And it's not
see the picture.
Yes, and you know, a lot of people say about law of attraction, and I read a lot of books, and I don't believe on magic, like, you know, you close your eyes and you visualize $1 million and wait at your home to come to you. No, it's not going to come to you. But you can create the picture of yourself seeing it, because you're putting yourself in a moment that you're already experiencing. How would you feel, which will give you more motivation to go towards it. They asked Conor McGregor in one of his interviews. I loved him, especially his mindset years ago. Right now, he's dropped a lot, but I still like the guy. Don't get me wrong. What he has done for the MMA sport, especially when he was at his prime. They asked him when he became two-weight world champion, I believe, or when he won the first championship of 145 pound, and asked him, he's like, hey, Conor, if you would see your young self when you first started, what are you going to tell him that is going to change the results right now, or is going to make him have the same results? He's like, I won't tell him nothing, because he already believed that he was going to achieve that. So
he believed.
He believed before nobody else did, and obviously he worked for it and he achieved it. So
believe, importance of being believing. We mentioned this about like my parenting, when we talked about, anxiety, frustration and all, but how important it is for a parent, for a mom, dad, to be a dad. And for a player, for a mom to be a dad to the player versus being a coach.
So how important it is? It's very important, because especially when you're dealing with young athletes, their mental resilience is not the same as when you're older. When you're younger, you get yourself more emotional, you get touched. For example, I love my mom to death, and I love both my parents to death. But with my mom, I have a stronger connection. Okay? when I played when I was younger, I asked her to never come to my tennis matches because I would feel so anxious in front of her. Now, I didn't have the mental strength coach to help me deal with that. If I was able to deal with my anxiety, then my mom was going to be an extra support. But I didn't have those luxuries. So I simply asked her to move out. And I only had my dad, which, it's a mistake, but worked for me on that time. A lot of parents, what they do nowadays is that they want their kid to succeed so much. I understand because they love their kids. But because they do that, they're not able to control themselves. Now, all the emotions that they have towards the kids to become the person that they want to become, they're expressing to them and they're making them more anxious. Like, for example, you would lose a point and the mom is like, right. And you're making the kid more pressure. The reason why I love my dad is that no matter what was the score, he was always looking at me and be like, such a good player you are. Like, he had no idea what was going on. I was losing or winning. He still doesn't know the points in tennis. But I wanted him because he was always telling me, you're amazing, so good. I was losing. And I'm like, what's he talking about? But he was always motivating me. So that's why I always wanted him there. Hopefully my mom doesn't see this interview, but but she knows. I've shared them. So it's important to have the support of your parents. I understand. But the parents that need to be their supporter and not their place where they feel anxious. They need to look at their parents and not be worried if they're making any faces. But if they turn to their parents and they're both being like, nice, hey, you got this, next one. Now they're always going to look for your help, which is great, but they're not going to worry about how you're feeling. Because one of the clients that I have been working now at the academy is that every time my mom comes, I don't play my tennis. And I'm like, but why is there? Is that because I feel pressure? I'm like, but why do you feel pressure? Because I want to show her I'm a great tennis player. So he's trying to prove something to them, to her. And that's why he's feeling like what he's feeling. But if he's trying to prove something to himself and have his mom being more motivated, now he's going to have an extra support. Because he also told me, he's like, yes, you're so right. Same like you when you were a kid. My mom always make faces when I make some mistake. You see what I mean? You need somebody to be your motivator and not your judgmental face. So it's very important to have parents as a support. But they need to know how to support their kids. I know that you want them to win. And I know it's tough. But you have to work on your emotions first prior to coming and supporting your kid. Because you're affecting them negatively. A lot of players today quit just because they cannot bear their stress that their parents go after them. So it's sad to say, but that's the reality. So I hope that our parents can become more aware of it.
You were the head coach for both men's and women's team at Missouri Valley College. How was the experience there compared? How was the experience there as a team event and all
everything?
Yeah, compared to working in an academy where you have all range of players.
Beautiful. Great. So I love coaching and I love coaching tennis and mental strength. And one thing that I found to be frustrated at the head coaching position is that the beginning of my months there, one thing that I wasn't doing was coaching, because I was worried about budgeting, traveling, was worried about fundraising, playing matches, recruiting. So there were so many things that I was doing. I didn't
they don't have like someone that does all those, like for example budgeting, like the fundraising. They don't have like department like athletic director or the coach is does everything.
So big schools, as far as I know, they have helps on those stuff. Missouri Valley College is not a big school, so I had to do all those. Now looking back, I'm extremely grateful that I had, because I learned so much. I learned how to recruit players, how to keep players. I learned, budgeting. You're running a company. You need to know
Mm-hmm.
where money goes in and how can you,
Yeah.
and,
How much can you give? How many players do you need for
yes,
the season and
how
all this? Yeah.
everything. So I
Yeah.
learned so much, but one thing that I wasn't doing was
Yeah.
coaching because I didn't have the time and the mental energy to. So like after you do a million and one things, now
Yeah.
try to coach 33
But
kids.
you had assistant coach
I
helping
did.
you with the
I did.
on-call training and all
Correct.
those.
And without assistant and extra help, you couldn't do it.
No.
So after
No.
I had the experience and my assistant left, what did I do? I created more job opportunities so people can build their resume, can get more experience, and can also help me and help the team. So what I did, I hired an assistant coach, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I hired a team manager. So he would manage things inside of the team that wasn't going right prior than me dealing with every little detail.
Yeah.
And then he would report in the end of the week what things have been done. I made 2 captains for the men's team and the women's team, and they had to make weekly meetings with the team and then report to me how everything is going. I made a social media manager. So it was always, because I was also taking pictures and posting on social media. So now he was in charge of social media. So you do all those stuff. So now I can have a bit more free time coming on court and working with players. Obviously, I worked and I worked hard, but it wasn't as much physically working as in academy. Because in academy, you're working with individuals and groups, but you're working on that and that only, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Working outside of that, or like, oh, how do you get home now from school? How do you get to that tournament?
Yes, because if for example, we also had a strength and a conditioning coach. So then he would work with them, and I would work, let's say, 3 hours a day, and now I have to worry about other stuff. So I'm only working 3 hours coaching tennis. In an academy, you're working every day 6 to 8 hours coaching tennis. So it is different kind of work, and they're both challenging. You just have to love what you do and obviously understand why you're doing it. The reason why I'm doing it is because that I love coaching. I love coaching tennis and I love coaching mental strength. It gives me passion, and obviously it's something that I've done it for a while, and I see myself when I see other people that are getting lessons. Like you want to help them, because I remember when I was on your stage and I didn't have a coach. So now I'm trying to give something I didn't have, if that makes sense. So it is different experience. Obviously they both have their own challenges, but I definitely loved it both. One of the reasons why I chose to go from the head coaching position to becoming a tennis coach in an academy and a mental strength coach is that I believe that I can have more impact on people here because I can work directly with them. I'm not just a large group of guys and you only have 6 people playing. You know what I mean? You can actually have bigger impact on them, and I believe that you also can grow more as a person. So
that's interesting. Ray, for our viewers, this is really, lots of things to learn from this, this episode a lot. But I'm sure we have people that would like to connect with you outside of this, episode. They want to know more. How can they reach you?
Beautiful. Thank you for letting me say that.
Yeah.
So I also have a podcast, and it's called Pelushi Performance Podcast. So it's my name and the Performance Podcast. And they can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. They can find it on all platforms that you can find it. All my social medias are simply my first name and my last name, Ray Pelushi. And I always shared a lot of content there. We also have at our TIA a free trial for everybody that wants to try how a session will look like with a mental strength coach. And if you decide to sign up, you can also sign up. But you can also reach out on all my social media and I can give you the information for that. So
I would put your social media will be on the screen below. You see the social media handle, and you have a website too. I see you have a
yes.
website
So on my website you can find my podcast.
Your podcast,
So then will be best if we can also put the link of our TIA, so they can watch the videos, and then understand why it's important to have a mental strength coach if they haven't watched all the episodes and stuff.
This is really helpful. To the final questions of the episode, I always ask all my guests this question, simple question, just want to know. So the first question: what is your favorite food?
My favorite food is
Yes.
called burek. It's an Albanian
Burek.
traditional food.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, what
it's
is it?
so I don't know exactly how to explain, but it's like with philos and you
You
can
said burek?
burek.
Like
So
with a
Byrak.
burek.
Yes.
Burek. Okay.
And some can spell it with U-B-U. I mean, you can search online, you can find it.
Yeah.
But it's like with philos, and you can have it with cheese, you can have it with meat, and you can have it many things.
Yeah.
I'm getting so hungry. Oh my god, I love that.
All right, we should get some bureks after this.
Oh my god,
But
I love it.
wow. What's your favorite city around the world?
Oh my god, I don't know if you would believe if I say that.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Well,
So my favorite city is New York City.
New York City. You're the second person in this podcast that say New York City.
And we live in New York.
It's favorite city.
So
The city of dreams.
It is. I remember, and I posted on my social media a couple weeks ago. Is that I remember where I came my very first time as a tourist. It's been like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I came with my mom, and I remember going to Times Square and all these places, and I was Sadiq like fascinating. Like those images are still stuck in my mind. And I remember telling my mom that I'm going to live here one day. So now that I'm here in New York and I'm living 40 minutes away and I'm like, I'm living here. And my mom came for a visit and we went to Brooklyn Bridge. I'm like, do you remember what I told you? I'm living here.
Live here right now. I made it, mama. But wow, that's really interesting. What is your favorite? Who is your favorite musician?
Like singer or like a genre? A singer.
So let's say that's that's a little broad. Like I would say a singer, favorite song specifically, and the favorite genre like hip hop and
yes.
So
it's funny because I don't have one singer. Like I'm not those people that run after Taylor Swift.
Have like someone that stands out.
I don't run after Taylor Swift for like hours to get the ticket. But I do listen to a lot. I listen to a lot of Albanian music just because it's my language.
Yeah.
But I also like electronic music.
Electronic.
Like like I like electronic music.
Not me, but
because it keeps me hyped. Like I don't want to make it again back to the podcast, but there's science behind that. You need 9 minutes of your favorite musics to change states. And especially music that is more than, I believe, 40 megahertz or something that is like higher pace. So that's why when you listen to Spanish songs or like very loud songs, you're already moving and shaking.
Your body,
it's more energetic. So I like energetic songs. I don't have one. I really don't. I really don't have one, but I do listen to a lot. I listen to a lot of, sometimes I listen to rock music, to like Linkin Park, just because they have some, hardcore motivation when I'm in the gym. But I listen to a lot of Albanian music. I listen, obviously, to a lot of meditations and like quiet jazz when I read. So, everything, depending on the environment.
We'll take off. What's your favorite spot other than tennis? Oh, outside of tennis, it's your favorite spot?
A spot?
Yes.
Okay, it's my favorite spot that I cannot actually access to it quite frequently as I would wish to is to be next to the beach. So when I'm like next to the beach and like I can just listen to waves, everything disappears. Like I'm peaceful. Is the most beautiful moment of my life. Like everybody's been through struggles. And I remember even when I was going through some struggles, like to pay college and mental health issues, like feeling anxious, depressed, why I'm not succeeding. If I'll go next to the beach, the most happy person in the planet. So next to the beach.
How about your favorite spot? Outside of tennis, like if you're not playing tennis, what other sports would you be doing?
So I don't think you can call it a sport, but I lift. So I go to the gym. So when I go to the gym, I love it, and I work out almost every single day.
No soccer?
No, I used to enjoy it when I was young.
Is it big in Albania?
It is.
What's the biggest sport?
So we have a couple big sports that are actually getting a lot of attention. It's powerlifting track and
Powerlifting,
field. We have one
track and
lady that
field.
is
Okay.
doing
Yeah, yeah,
excellent,
yeah.
and our soccer team is the second time that now they qualify for the European
You,
Cup.
yeah, the Euro Cup, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
So
nice, nice.
we those sports are very big in Albania. Soccer
Yeah.
obviously is the biggest sport in the
Mm-hmm,
world.
mm-hmm,
I would say football because,
mm-hmm.
but anyways,
Football. They say. I mean, I would
football.
years ago I would say football. Now I just
Now I
like
say
soccer.
soccer.
I know that's the part of the world.
But one sport that I would love or
Mhm.
enjoy to do other than
Yeah.
lifting, that is not a sport. Well, I guess powerlifting it is, but I don't
Yeah.
power lift.
Okay.
It's swimming. I
Oh,
enjoy swimming.
swimming.
I used to
Yeah.
swim a lot and used to take
Mm-hmm.
private lesson when I was young. And I
Yeah.
guess I have a connection with water,
Yeah.
so I
Oh
like
wow.
that.
Final question, and for the day, what is your favorite season? I'm curious because you showered in the cold water all year round. What's your
Oh,
favorite
my favorite
season?
season. I would say my favorite season is summer. Uh,
Summer.
Summer, my favorite season because when I was young,
Yeah.
it is a time where you're out of school and you're
Right,
outside with
right. Yeah,
friends.
2 months. Yeah,
Yeah, you play
three
tennis
months.
all
Yeah, yeah.
day. You
Right,
go to
right,
the
right.
beach.
Weather is
So
nice too.
yes, and you're full
Yeah.
with energy every day because
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
it's always sunny and hot.
Yeah.
Uh,
And the weather, right, over there, the winter, is it as cold? Do you guys get snow? Like,
it's
is it the
almost
same, similar,
exactly
like here?
similar
Okay.
here. We have
The
hot
winter,
summers
yeah,
and
spring and all.
cold
Okay.
winters. So summer
Summer.
is my favorite, but I also love fall, especially when I see the
The
trees,
leaves,
yeah,
yeah,
changing colors.
yeah.
It's cute.
It's a nice. But Ray, thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for stopping
Sadiq.
by. I'm glad we're able to make this happen. Thank you.